I was not at a MAGA rally. I went to a memorial for Charlie Kirk.
It's just a memorial. It's not a MAGA rally. It just happens that everyone there was MAGA. What does that even say? Make America Charlie Kirk? What the fuck does that even mean? But yeah, I'm sure it's a total coincidence that at this memorial, everyone was decked out in Trump gear and MAGA gear. You see that sea of red? But yeah, completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. Even the person behind you was MAGA, so I
Not go to the memorial to align myself with any political views or to make a political statement.
Not making a political statement, but funnily enough, Trump was there and he sure was making political statements. Specifically that he hates his opponents, the left, and doesn't want the best for them. But not political though.
I would rather have 0 followers than have hundreds of thousands of people that would celebrate the death of a man who just wanted to speak.
Now this one is my favorite. Charlie Kirk is just a man who wanted to speak. So let's hear some of the best things that he spoke about.
In fact, I even think that we should bring back, public executions on certain people. No.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got and she was going to give birth and she was and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that? But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered. Blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today. They were less murderous. There was less break-ins. Why is that? Data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. If you have white skin color, it's much harder to get into a college than if someone has black skin color. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Abortion to the Holocaust.
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
You guys aren't fooling anyone with your faux moral superiority. You don't drive 13 hours to go to the memorial service of a man whose entire life was dedicated to harmful beliefs unless you also align with those exact same beliefs. I hope you get the 0 followers you wished for.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, what's happening? It's insane. Actually, there is influencer on TikTok. She went on Charlie Memorial and now her follower, they are calling her out. Why did you go? Things like that. And she's like so much, she's like, oh, it's just human right, that's why I went there, because because he's a father, stuff like that. And many people are asking themselves, you saw what happened in Gaza and Palestine and you didn't do anything, they're also human. And many people are unfollowing her. That's what we'll be covering in today's episode. Credit belongs to the original one of the videos. I will come back with more commentary.
I did not go to the memorial to align myself with any political views or to make a political statement.
Hannah, I'm gonna guess that over the last day and a half or so, you're wondering why you've received such harsh backlash because of your attendance at the Charlie Kirk Memorial / rally. And I wanna explain why I think this is happening to you. Because just like you think attending the memorial service of someone who is a highly polarizing political person during a very volatile political time isn't political, you're absolutely wrong. And just like I believe you attending that memorial service is political, I also believe your content is very political. Now you might disagree. You'll say, no, it's not. I do skits about restaurants and being a hostess. Yes, I know. Whether you know it or not, your content is highly political. Like in your videos about Karen v. waitress, topics like power imbalance, social structure, entitlement, these things all come up, which are all inherently political things. Like a Karen walking into a restaurant saying I demand your finest table. Don't you know who I am? I'm a rich wife of so-and-so. And you're just like, whatever, I don't care. That is political. Why does this Karen think that she can walk in somewhere where somebody else is just trying to, make their daily wage? Why does she think that she is entitled to do that? What social structures are in play? What social hierarchy is at play that she believes that she can do something like that? That's what your content is all about. Politics isn't just about elections and Republicans versus Democrats. Politics is part of our everyday lives. Food is political. Fashion is political. Entertainment is political. Books are political. Comedy is political. Restaurant skits are political. So this isn't, I don't think, a cancellation. I saw somebody comment this and I think this is exactly right. This is not a cancellation. This is a realignment. People are realigning themselves or unaligning themselves with somebody they believe does not align with their political views.
I just wanted to ask, from your perspective, what are you going to do to pay respect to the almost 700,000 Palestinians killed by Israel and Palestine since October 7th, 2023? Because I don't think you've posted about that. And so I'm wondering where your head's at on that, because you said in your video, all loss of life is sad. It's the loss of a human life. I was paying my respects because he was a husband and a father. I think that almost 700,000 Palestinians killed in Gaza were also husbands and fathers, and you haven't posted anything about that. And you also haven't, used your platform that used to be close to 1 million, but is now like almost like, 800,000 since yesterday. Yikes. You haven't used your platform at all to, raise money for a family or like pay respects in some other way. Like, try to raise money for a GoFundMe covering funeral costs or like the cost of like getting somebody's body transported back to their family, something like that. Like, you haven't done that. And so I'm wondering, do you actually care about the loss of human life? That's what I'm wondering. Because in your video, you said you did. So I'm just like confused on what I should do, because like I want to walk like Jesus. I want to talk like Jesus. But like, does Jesus only care when white people die?
So guys, actually, she probably thought no one will notice, but of course the internet always find you. And the way she acted, she said like, oh, the reason she gave and the tone she used, that's what people didn't like. And also she said like, you can unfollow me if you want, and trust me, they are doing that like crazy. Yeah, because many people are asking themselves, he's not the only human who is being shot, but we never saw you acting like this. Why is that? So, guys, what do you think about this one? Let's keep watching.
I'm not gonna lie, I have never heard of you before, but since you decided to address this situation, let's talk about it. You said we have nothing in common if we think someone deserves to die by gun violence, but you showed up to a funeral to pay respects to Charlie Kirk, a man who spent his career arguing that some people do deserve to die by gun violence. You said you were horrified watching Charlie Kirk get shot, so let me ask you, where is that same horror when children are being gunned down in classrooms? There is a genocide happening and children are being unalived daily, and I don't see you making content about that. Trey Reed was found hanging from a tree. Are you going to attend his funeral? Look, you don't have to celebrate Charlie Kirk's murder, but you also don't have to celebrate his life. By your logic, people should have mourned Hitler because he was a human being with a wife. That is how absurd that sounds. You did not fly to Arizona out of some broad compassion for humanity. You flew here because you cared about Charlie Kirk and you aligned with him, and you don't have the guts to admit it.
Just tell us who you voted for, because you're out here saying, oh, me going to a Charlie Kirk memorial doesn't equate to being MAGA. I'm like, okay, so then what does? You're saying that you can do all these things and still not be MAGA? It's kind of like when a lot of my girlfriends, unfortunately from the Bay Area, they'll be wonderful people, and then they'll date guys who are MAGA, and they'll be like, well, I'm not MAGA. Okay, but the man that you are sleeping with, in love with, gonna marry, spoils you like a princess, he's MAGA, but you're not? Yeah, so you just tolerate that, is what you're saying, which is insane to say. And then to go on and say, oh, I'm not here to make a political statement, Jesus is king. Do you know, religion is the most political stance you could have in America. It's the reason why so much of America is divided, because of religion. And you're gonna be here, Jesus is king. These are the people who believe the rapture was about to come, and you wouldn't have survived being lifted 10 feet into the air. You were in the splash zone of that memorial, and you spent time there, and you got burnt to a crisp, and you think you were going to survive the ascension to heaven for the rapture? Be for real. Also, side note, her saying, like, I'm not MAGA, I just went to this, it's giving, like, I'm not Asian, I just look like a
I wanted to learn more about the situation regarding the tomato that went to Charlie Kirk's WWE event, but when I looked up her username, I couldn't find her anywhere, like, nothing was popping up. And so I thought maybe because of the flack, she, like, suspended her account, or she permanently deactivated it, or something like that. But nobody was mentioning that, so I was like, what's going on? And then I started to think about it for a second, and I was like, no. No way. Not again. I can't be on this much of a heater. But then I logged on to my second account, and sure enough, blocked me before I even knew who she was. I am yet again asking you to judge me based on the people who have me blocked.
So there's a content creator named Hannah Brown. Recently, she was over 900K, but after people found out that she went to a certain, somebody's memorial service, people have been unfollowing by the literal tens of thousands. Went to the memorial service of somebody who looks at you as a cook, a homemaker, not to mention an incubator. You went to the memorial service of somebody who believes in the great replacement theory. Somebody who said if he saw a black pilot, he would go, is he qualified? It'll never cease to amaze me how a human being can just completely miss the goddamn point when it's looking at them in the goddamn face. I've said it now multiple times in different variations. I will go ahead and say it again. Nobody should experience what Charlie Kirk did. I can't even begin to imagine what his final moments were like. The video was horrific. I do feel for his family, especially his daughter, but you sure as hell would not catch me here unless it was a Weekend at Bernie's deal. On a final note, whether it be somebody like Dean or Hannah or Parker or anybody else out there who has gotten on their mightier-than-thou high horse, basically scoffing at anybody out there who would dare question how you could shed a tear over this man, how you could go pay your respects to this man, who dare to not show him sympathy or empathy when they are likely from a group of people that this man talked down on. I mean, you are ridiculous.
So guys, actually, wow, this is crazy. This is crazy, guys. You know, sometimes I know like your audience, they expect more from you, stuff like that. I understand like violence is not good. I don't support violence too, but also I think what you should done is like to come out and clear the situation, not coming out saying like, oh, unfollow me if you don't want, if you don't like what I'm doing. And people do that and it feels so bad. No matter how much she tried to act normal, like it doesn't matter, trust me, she's broken, she's hurting. And many people are saying like you were just lying, pretending for audience, but this is who you are. This is insane. But she's saying she's not MAGA. She never been MAGA. She don't support MAGA. But many people are asking themselves one question, which are unanswered: who did you vote for? And in all people who were been suffering, why did you select that one only? So that's the question many people are asking themselves. And of course they're dragging her like crazy and then following her. It's insane. The last time I checked, it was 600 from 900, and trust me, if you check now, it's even going down and down. So guys, I feel like if your followers or your subscribers get you wrong, I feel like it's better to come and try to make everything clear and explain things in honest way, because when you try to play with their mind, of course they're smart, they can notice. So yeah guys, that's all I can say. And I have few comments from the people talking about this, and this one is going viral on TikTok. That's why I was like, let me update you on what's happening. The first comment says she literally told us to unfollow, so we did. The second one said, don't say you care about human rights if you stay silent on Gaza. The third one said, the problem isn't attending, the problem is lying after. The fourth one said, her brand was built on being Neo, but now we see the truth. The last one said, followers don't want perfection, they want honesty, and she failed that test. So guys, I don't know what you think after watching this. What do you think? Where do you stand? Let me know in a comment. I'm curious to know. And I just want to thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel. See you next one. Bye.